So what's going on, Pixel Gun Gamers? It's Boston Moder right here, and today we're going to be talking about what you've been watching through the title. So I actually decided, I was discussing with one of my friends who also does YouTube. We're like a team of small YouTubers who uploads random stuff throughout Pixel Gun 3D games. But throughout the times, we've already been discussing things we are not happy about within Pixel Gun 3D in a degree where we actually decided, actually two of us decided to actually go for a protest and not upload Pixel Gun 3D, and for a very big reason to it, which I'll be explaining. So I'm not gonna be revealing the two names because they might not like that their name might be heard still, so I'll respect that. Although I wouldn't really, after all, even if they're alright with getting their names heard out. But I was talking with those two friends, and we were always talking. We were always in multiple occasions talking about the problems of Pixel Gun 3D that has been going again and again and again. You know, since May of 2018, when the Cubic Games were entering the stage and said, "Hello guys, now we're going to make the game great again." But it turns out that it did do decent into the beginning until interests start to diverge between the developers and the players, and that actually started by a couple of well-known YouTubers that changed a game style, and you know who they are, and you better share to those people. Be sure to share to those people, because those two YouTubers have made also a difference, despite one of them not having the adequate knowledge to make that big of a change of Pixel Gun 3D, but then that person did, and now we're all sitting here in the pickle. And also, throughout the times of the history of Pixel Gun 3D under the Cubic Games control, we have repeated events. You see all the battle passes. I haven't even done much now, only 15 days left to collect everything, because I've been through the same cycle again and again and again, collecting guns for my useless collection. Yes, it is fun for a while trying to get some weapons, but then when I think about it, all those weapons that I obtain is gonna be barely used. And for one another thing, all of those new weapons that developers introduce are mythical, which leads to a question to where if mythical weapons are actually mythical or considered common throughout the developers' entire monthly digest of adding new guns and new checks and balances between their own games. You know, we already have several patch notes that already describes what kind of changes to the gun's parameter, damage, statistics, buffs, and some core game reworks. It didn't get mentioned earlier. That's one thing. It didn't get mentioned earlier. It already got mentioned a little bit later because players want to know everything. Although there are certain details that they know players may not like, and they still implement it in. Or maybe some of them was a mistake. Maybe some of those were on purpose. Who knows? Only the developers. So we already have repeating battle passes. Now what does that make? Well, it just doesn't create good vibes on the long run. Maybe it is for the new players, but I'm pretty unsure. I'm not sure who has the data, because I only know that the dev base has the data of how many more new downloads that exist through the game that can help the developers keep up their revenue and try to make the guns and make the same cycle, or if they gotta spend some good investments of actually something something different, some new experience. Because really, the battle passes is relatively the same. There are no new stuff that are in the battle pass that makes it a Pixel Gun battle pass. Although you may say that it is, but it is quite repetitive. We get VIPs, we get cosmetics, We get coins, we get not coupons, but freaking credits, and some new weapons, some new craftable weapons, and also we have the same kind of challenges, another bigger hitbox for the players who may want to get it, and also another new weapon. Every single battle pass weapons, I think almost every single battle pass weapons has been a trend for the duration of that battle pass until a new battle pass slided by, and then the players started limited those. I have a theory that those players who live with battle pass weapons are either players who are incapable of getting the event weapons right here, who are incapable of grinding for these suckers because they don't have enough time for it. Maybe they have already enough time to share the time on the battle passes, but on this kind of, especially casino event, it is going to this event is actually gobbling gems. It is rigged. It gobbles gems. Maybe it doesn't in a few occasions, but mostly it gobbles a lot of gems. You may even need to pay 1,000 for getting one weapon if you're taking things early. If you're taking things early, taking new weapons and gear early, that's when you basically have to suffer with a lot of gems, more than likely, to try to get stuff. I'm just gonna be trying to reset all of this. Okay, we got the river gun, cool, but we're already in the same cycles. They have, of course, they have added new kind of weapons, but new kind of weapon features, but those aren't really that big unless they were multiple. But speaking of events coming by again and again and again and freaking again, and another thing they do in this freaking game, which I strongly oppose, is returning weapons. Now, some people may say, oh no, returning weapons is good, which makes the discussion completely controversial. Because for one, there's a main argument from Desperate Russian saying that there's a lot of new players who won't get the chance of the new weapons. If there's a lot of new players who doesn't get a chance of getting new weapons, then why the frick are you making these kinds of weapons right here? You basically give them opportunities, right? Is that a good argument for us to say to them? Well, as I said, the players don't have time for this, nor this, and the developers will decide to just return the weapons from events that all the players have played. The players who have played that event like the first time, they will feel scammed because of the returns of the weapons. They will feel scammed. They will feel humiliated for the time and effort spent onto the game. The so-called exclusive, the so-called unique weapons lose their own uniqueness. They lose this feel of actually being rare and precious, of their uniqueness to hold and play through the game. And this is also the main draw between the betrayals of actually defining, or actually having something exclusive. There was some other guy in Discord I just checked out. He tried to define exclusivity through the game, which is not gonna be talking about a little bit. What I can say though is putting definitions into conclusions is not gonna solve anything, because for one, people don't take definitions. People don't really take their definitions in the same way. They don't see definitions in the same way. And for others, people may think you try to divert that definition, even though that guy knows what the real definition is, only to support the developers, which is also pretty much conspiring against the players, which is not even good either. So you're just creating conspiracy, you're just create conspiring against the developers by just trying to define definition. This is why I don't say it's much better to just try to define exclusivity. We can't say that the weapons are meant to stay there only once, and that was going to give their exclusive character for being available at that time. That's what players thought to begin with. But when the developers return the freaking weapons, it ruins it, and the players who maybe even paid for the first two battle passes when the battle credits weren't even carrying over to the other battle passes. They feel completely scammed. They feel completely scammed. Now, my account was reset, and I still got the ultimate because of lucky chest event, super lottery event that was a returning black market lottery. I'm not sure if it was returning or if it was a beginner. I'm pretty sure it was a returning black market lottery, because that's another thing we've got to talk about. Because after we have new events, we have this new event digest being finished, the developers return they return some of the earlier launch weapons, and maybe super soldier, maybe something else, that some other sets that they have released earlier on. They will try to return those and have that for the rest of the month. And this has been going on for I don't know how long, probably over a year, and people are not talking that much about it. You know, I've heard Echo Soldier, if I want to mention that name, but not super explicitly. Echo Soldier and a couple other YouTubers maybe talk about how repetitive it is, because it is. There's no big changes to the battle pass. Nothing. New weapons, yeah, new weapons, chests, skins, cosmetics, bigger hitboxes for almost no reason, because there's no perks that actually would give it a good purpose to have. And also the challenges are out of ideas, because you already created a bunch of challenges that have already taken a lot of space for those ideas, and therefore there aren't that many ideas left in your mind. Or are they? That's literally up to the developers, or maybe even the community, to try to suggest them whether or not there it is. But the main point is, Pixelgun is not looking good. You may think it's looking good, but what I can say, which was concluded by the friends, is that the Pixelgun look like to be chasing out old players. It looks like for me and maybe some of the viewers out there, that there are some that this game wants old players to be out because they are commenting against returning weapons, which is actually the main reason why Pixelgun is in such a pickle, and why I protest now uploading Pixelgun for a while. I would say for a while. So I would stop playing Pixelgun 3D because, for one, this freaking development stage, this way of developing the game, this way of running events and all of that stuff, it's not gonna work. Let me actually give you a clear image of how it actually works. Because what Desperate Russian said, which actually sets up the whole entire conclusions and all of that, maybe setting up conclusions and even more worse conspiracies, is that, for one, she said that there's a lot of new players who can't get the new events, and that was the only main reason to where a lot of new players return. So for that, you might say she's actually favoring, she's only respecting, like, she and her team respects new players to hop in and have fun and get those weapons, because there have been earlier times where they watched YouTubers already get those weapons, so they may be thinking, oh, let me get those, because they may not pay attention that it's a video about Pixelgun that is of a weapon that has already been running through an event, and now they may look jealous and want it themselves for the game, and therefore returns occur, which is honestly on one end it may look like this whole entire return process is because of greed and envy and everything between those lines that creates all of this freaking cycles that we're all in, with no big updates out before the double-digit update of the Pixelgun 3D. But when she said that new players don't get the new weapons, it's not gonna make the situation better, because your system is not made for players who play 2 hours a day. It is not. Your chess system is also rigged. Don't explain me that, okay, I know that giant scuba diver set, we know that the giant scuba diver set is not rigged. This thing is also rigged as well, especially when you put in legendary items, because at multiple occasions when I play several lotteries, and this has happened before. Like I said, I happen to get legendary items when I get the winner chest, because it may look like in relatively frequently that oh, you actually get more of gems and legendary items than actually the weapon parts, because those new weapons are of the highest value, because they are new weapons. In their heads they are the highest quality, and also on the run to the show they are the showrunner of the monthly new weapons to play with. Although, as I said, there's not many new weapons that I prefer, because in my new loadout, I just changed to Project Marlin, maybe changing to underwater carbon, and that's one thing, because not every players because of that, not every player is gonna have their time to play the game and get some new stuff, but it is not made sufficiently sustaining fun for a new player. In fact, if you may have seen some kind of successes for other YouTubers that have been making it and getting those weapons that were actually existing earlier, for one, it'll be returned. For two, you can actually speculate that if they purposely return it to create that kind of content and create a propaganda to where it's actually easy to get far in the game, where in reality it's not. It is not easy to get far in the game, because you actually have to spend 4 to 5 hours to get anywhere in the game, especially if you want to focus on the lottery, and if you want to just hop into some clans and jump straight down into those kinds of activities. Because now I'm gonna take break from Pixagon. I'm protesting because people are being too passive. They are too passive. They don't talk openly and debating about this, because this is not healthy. The returns are not healthy, and the repeated events is not healthy. Mythical weapons become a commodity, and I know well-known YouTubers are aware of this, but they are looking to be too passive, because they are uploading for their own content and for their view, without even knowing that they have the power to make the difference themselves, because they have that many views. That's what I'm saying for them. That's what I'm saying for them. If you agree with me and want to protest to the Pixagon developers, honestly, it may look silly that I'm saying it as a small YouTuber, but I want to share my point, because no one else wants to share it openly. Pixagon 3D has repeated events. They have freaking almost mythical weapons in every single freaking update. They aren't bothering of adding new epics, new commons, and new rares, which would have actually made sense according to the grading system. Why have a grading system? We actually reversing the universe of how people perceive a grading system. Only adding mythical weapons to your collection, and may consider that to be a good thing when you say, oh, you made it virtually impossible for an average 2-hour player to actually play. Because I can hardly believe that there are many people who play 10 hours. I can hardly believe that there are people who play 5 hours, especially on the school times. It's just not. Games ain't that fit for people, and I already know that, but driving it this way is not a really good kind of situation either. Which leads me to also another conclusion. That's why I uploaded Shadow Fight 3 videos, because that's why I was trying to say that I'm going to welcome Shadow Fight 3, because I was thinking whether or not I should protest to the game. But then when I was thinking about it, other well-known YouTubers have been too passive, and I think it's time to act, and hope you guys would act, and maybe discuss it through, share it through with other YouTubers. Know this. Why are you still passive? What is the reason why you're still passive when you know you have the power to change? If I was like in a corporation of Pixagon 3D and I know this is a main problem and I wanted to change this, would I be passive? Would it look like I'd be passive at this point? Do I really want to keep uploading and not think and know at the same time that this workflow for the developers is not healthy for the interaction with the community, but I still do it because I don't want to lose my loyalty to developers? Or do you want to make a difference so that the developers can actually get to work for the community and not bring things people didn't ask for. Because one thing for sure, new weapons are fun, but for one another thing, many times bringing them back many times is just not gonna bring fun either, and neither is it fun to just bring it frequently, bring returns frequently, bring new weapons frequently. I don't see it as a healthy workflow for the developers. It gives a huge arsenal of collections for the game, but I'm not into it I'm not into this anymore. I just gotta take a protest, take a break. I'm not gonna delete Pixel Gun 3D because I want to see if there's gonna be any difference right now. Because we've been too passive for a long time. You're either gonna choose to keep uploading and not lose loyalty because you are popular, or actually do some difference and open up discussions for this unhealthy workflow. Because I'm sick and tired of this. I'm actually sick and tired of this. Because we've been through the same struggle, all of us. We're playing the same game. We can make a difference. This game is not what other RL people, real life people may say as all just a freaking game where there's not much interaction with people. They are wrong. If they're already gotten the gist of it, they would already know that that online games, it's not just freaking games where you sit in your own bubble. This is a bubble of an entire community from all different worlds that can actually discuss this out. But come on, be sure to do something. I want you to do something right now. This is the workflow that is not acceptable, and I'm just gonna keep uploading these kinds of videos until something changes. That is my video, and I hope you guys understand. I hope you guys share this forward to other popular YouTubers, because I'm tired, and I'm pretty sure they feel a little tired as well.